When I got older and started trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I loved the idea of pursuing theater and acting, and then that's when COVID hit.
Hi, I'm Reba Hervis, Artistic Director at Overshadowed Theatrical Productions. Welcome to this week's episode, From the Wings. I am honored to have with me Emily Wilson. Thank you for being here today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
She is my intern at Overshadowed for the next few weeks, and I'm telling you, it might be trial by fire. She got here, and I threw her into the middle of Joseph. I mean, really. Okay, so first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I go to Maranatha Baptist University in Watertown, Wisconsin. I'm majoring in humanities and minoring in dramatic productions in order to graduate, which I am a senior, and this is my last kind of semester before graduating. After this, I am going back to Maranatha. I'm getting my master's in organizational leadership. I'm going to be working for the school, so they'll be paying for my tuition, which is so nice.
I think it's really important for everybody who loves that kind of arts to do something with it. I think God made us very creative, and so the fact that you want to do something in your life for Him in that way, I love. But now tell us, why drama? Why theater?
Okay. When I got older and started trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I loved the idea of pursuing theater and acting, and then that's when COVID hit, and it kind of put it into perspective that I was like, oh, is this something that I really, like, logically, is this sound? Is this something that I wanted to do? So I kind of steered away for a little bit. I went sort of a different route for a while, and then when
Is that why you're humanities instead of...
Well, no, not necessarily.
Okay.
So I actually started Maranatha as a bio major, and I quickly learned that wasn't for me. And so I went into English. I then went into an English degree, and in order to have a humanities type degree, something like that, you have to have a minor. And so one of the options for a minor was dramatic productions. And like I said, I'd grown up, I'd loved it. I worked stage crew during the time, so I was still really enveloped in theater. And so I was like, you know what? Might as well do it. Like, it's there. It's something that I love.
God thrust it upon you.
Exactly. And then when I was really thinking about what I wanted to do for my life, I switched from English to humanities because humanities offered internships instead of like capstone papers or projects. And I know that I'm a very like kinesthetic learner, and so being able to use my hands and actually be put in the environment that I wanted to pursue, that was something that I was really interested in. So then I was like, okay, I'll just switch over to humanities. And humanities is more of like a broad scope of everything, so you got to pick your electives, you got to pick your different classes. And I just heavily leaned toward English and literature just because that's something that I loved. And then I started noticing that a lot of my dramatic productions classes were a lot harder than my major classes, like my electives. They were just more time-consuming, more hands-on. And then I started noticing even, like I said, how English and literature, reading stories, and then how that kind of ties in with dramatic productions. And then it came to directing platforms and directing different capstones and different projects. And as soon as I started directing my first play or my first platform, it was something that I was like, I have to do this for the rest of my life. And it was within the first few weeks of the directing class that I took, I said, this is something that I love doing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have any theatrical experience from either your past or from being here that you feel like it was a life-changing moment for you along the way? You've been doing it for a long time.
So growing up, I wasn't in community theater, but there's a man in our church who was a director, and a lot of our media, or a lot of our ministry was theater-oriented. So I did A Christmas Carol growing up all the time. And so I started from playing Scrooge's little sister to playing Belle with the last performances that we've done. And then I went into college and I started working stage crew. So I got that aspect of theater, which was so insightful, especially for classes and learning the workings of theater. That was super insightful, and loved every moment of that. Got really close to the crew. And then I started being in more plays at Maranatha. So I was in 2 of them. One of them was a smaller part in A Christmas Carol because I was working stage crew at the time as well. And then my last spring semester, I played Lisa in The Sound of Music, which was so rewarding. It was so fun. I loved every moment of it. Other than acting and stage crew, I've directed a platform. I did a scene from Little Women. It was about 8 minutes long. And then this past semester, I directed a one-act play called I Never Saw Another Butterfly.
I've heard of it.
Which was very complicated, and it was very creative and contemporary and historic. It was like all of the good parts of theater and all of the complicated parts of theater in a single show. But that personally, I think that changed me as a director, as an artist, and as a person, honestly, because the story was beautiful and the actors did such a beautiful job, and I got so close with them.
The reason that theater is important is because we live in a visual society. And so when I pick our season, I try to have productions that are going to impact people in different ways. Sometimes it's just a laugh. Sometimes we have a very religious season. Sometimes we have something that it's more meaningful in other ways because of what the world is going through. But whatever, I kind of pray about it, and then I feel like the Lord really directs me to whatever that season is going to mean and going to do. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it works great, right? Because people are people and they receive things differently. But for me, it's very important what the message is going to be for whatever reason it is that I'm trying. What is important to you, or what do you think will be important? Because right now you're not necessarily getting to pick all the plays all the time, right?
Yes.
But as you look forward into your life, what do you think will be criteria that you look at determining what plays you would like to direct as you decide you want to be one?
I would say something, whether it be a comedy or a drama or a mystery, anything like that. I like it when plays have a deeper meaning or like a substance to them. So when it comes to plays with kind of just for the humor aspect, they don't really have kind of like that subconscious lesson to them. I feel like when it has that deeper meaning to it, it impacts the crowd whether they know it or not. Those little elements of even like the color of a play with the lighting has such an effect on their mood and the way that they respond to a play.
Do you have a hit list? Is there something like, because I do. I have things that I'm like, okay, man, it would be great if I could ever do blah, 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 blah. Like, wow, I think it would be so cool for my first directing experience to be this play. Or even more than that, down the road, I really want to get a chance to.
Well, I would love to do the full performance of I Never Saw Another Butterfly.
Okay.
Even the small one-act play was so beautiful, and it was so poetic.
That's fun.
And I loved the response to it. But other than that, I would say, and I used to say that I would never want to direct this, but Our Town, because of how deep it is. And it kind
as you
of
grow up, it
me.
means a little something different, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yes.
But when reading it, it's so open concept, so you barely have any set or any prompts or anything. And so something like that is really daunting as a director because you have to use all of the creativity that you can muster. But after doing I Never Saw Another Butterfly and seeing how that turned out, I think I would be kind of interested to see what I could do with Our Town.
All right, so we're going to ask one more really deep question.
Oh, no.
Where would your life be without theater?
I don't think I would be half as deep of a thinker as I am now. With theater, you kind of are forced to do that. You're forced to think of everything at every angle, whether it be shallow, whether it be just like the deepest parts of yourself that you can go to. So I don't think that I would have quite as much emotion as I do. I recently found out that I'm a very emotional person.
You didn't know you were?
No. It took a long time. I used to grow up and I would just try not to cry at all. Like, I would just be the type of person that it was a sign of weakness. But as I've gotten more into theater, it's become more of who I am to be an emotional person. And
I love emotions.
They're so beautiful and they're so complicated and intricate, and it's such a beautiful thing to witness people being vulnerable, especially with plays.
Do you think that even in this short amount of time that there has been anything that you can say, even if I stop today, I'm glad I did this internship and why, or I wish I hadn't come and why.
Okay. Yeah,
Please help me if she says the other.
Something that I really enjoyed was cast meetings, because it was a biblical story, but it was told in more of a historic way because it was written by an unbeliever. But what I loved that you did was you pulled in that biblical aspect, and you kind of had everybody there, and you sat them down, and you went through the story in a biblical way. Because it is a historical story, but they kind of sucked out all of the theology and the Christ-likeness about Joseph. Yes. So that was really cool just to kind of like come together, and it was like a family devotional, and you kind of put it all together, and you made them think about Joseph as a person and not just a character. And you asked them to think about his emotions and what he was going through and why the brothers did what they did and his spiritual journey through this whole thing. So that was something that you guys did that I really, really appreciated. And it was like a family. Like everybody kind of came together. And even before the matinee on Saturday, they came together and they started singing praises. And that like got me all choked up because it was like, this is so beautiful. This is such a close-knit community, and it can do so much for so many people.
That is so awesome. Yeah. Well, I love that you're here, and we all want you to come back after you graduate. Yes. Till next time, this is just me.
And me.
Talking to you from the wings.
So cute.
We're professionals, actually.
Well, we are, kind of.
That's why I actually subscribed.
Yeah.
This is actually the most professional.
She's going to say right now, this is the most professional YouTube interview I've ever had.
Oh, the only?
Oh, exactly. If we talk about deep things too much, I probably will cry, by the way.
Oh, well, what can I ask
her?
her?
Me, I don't think I've ever had anyone cry.